Alright, this is chapter 10, Congress and the President by Damian Maurice, Audra Martin, Felicia Wallace. The first slide of multiple presidential roles. Basically, we grouped it down to revamp the financial regulatory system, responsible for succeeding winning the Senate approval in order to pass laws, negotiate policies within the with GOP lawmakers, and Congress and the President work together even when the relationship is guarded or hostile. Basically, even though they might not have the best relationship, they still have to work together in order to pass laws to further help this country succeed.
The president and the legislator. The president sometimes is called the chief legislator because of his close involvement in congressional decision making. That can be found in Article 1, Section 3 of the Constitution. Partisan consideration, crisis, and public expectations make the president an important participant in decision making. The president's constitutional veto power also ensures the White House views will be listened to in Congress. Next.
The power to persuade. Presidential power is the power to persuade. To be successful, presidents employ all their powers, constitutional, political, bureaucratic, and more. Presidents study decisions of their predecessors to learn from their mistakes. To persuade members to support their programs. Presidents often grant or withhold their patronage resources.
Basically, what this slide describes is basically each president, when it comes to office, they look to key points of where other previous presidents did right and what they went wrong, so they have like a foundation built atop of and ensure that their term or two, depending, is very successful.
Presidential power is key.
The administrative president. The president has the power of executive order, which is to pass a law without Congress approval in certain circumstances using executive orders and a reorganization plan. A perfect example is back there in the Sandy Hook shooting. Back in 2012, President Obama executed passed an executive order into law regarding gun control.
Mm-hmm.
Executive orders have full force of the law that takes authority granted directly to the executive by the power of the Constitution. And formulas that press the limits of regulatory authority, signing executive orders, and using the other unilateral means to obtain policy priorities is used when Congress fails to embrace them.
The two presidencies. It is often said that presidents' rules has changed since the post 9/11 world. Before 9/11, most of the president's main worries were on foreign affairs. After 9/11, most of the president's worries, especially George W. Bush, were on national security and defense, giving birth to Homeland Security. Read.
Veto power. The president has the power to veto any bill that is sent to his desk. He can also let any bill simply die by not doing anything. Congress can override the president's veto by 2/3 votes. Less than 10% of bills introduced to Congress makes it to the president's desk for approval. So what this is saying is that the president has power to veto any proposed law that comes into the House without being overridden unless it's overridden by 2/3 of a vote.
From Congress member.
And touch on that, less than 10% of bills introduced to Congress make it to the president's list for approval. That is because when the House of Representatives, you need a simple majority, whereas in the Senate, you need a solid 60 at the minimum.
Agreed.
And that is the end of my slideshow.
Thank you from Damian,
Maurice.
Felicia Wallace,
Audra Martin.